In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live on a Monday night. I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and tonight we're in the great book of Genesis, chapter 47, verse 26. That's where we left off last night. That's where we're going to pick up tonight. How's it going? How's your Monday? What's happening in your neck of the woods? Are you having a good day? Is it a bleh Monday? What is it? What's going on? Talk to Uncle Jake. A nice hot cup of coffee here. Thank you to the person that provides the coffee for the show. I appreciate that very much. It's delicious. Don't you want to have a cup with me? If so, go to the kitchen, pour yourself up a nice hot cup of coffee, and let's get after it. If you don't have a cup or coffee or a coffee maker or biker boots, you can get all that down below. Check that out. I recommend the first cup. It has my face on it. It is fantastic. But there's other stuff you might want to look. It's pretty cool. Also, like, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available in the chat box. If you want to show a little bit of love, if you want to, you can do that at CashApp $ jakejohnsonband or paypal.me/jakejohnsonband. And one last thing, if you'd like to hang out with us outside of the YouTuberverse, do all your talking in another place, you can do that at facebook.com/UntetheredLive. The link is in the chat. It's a great place to share pictures, text, videos, memes, and get to know each other. So go check it out. And now, on with the show. More of this coffee. Delicious. Yum, yum. Who's first in chat? Amy's first in chat. Hello, Amy. She says something. It's gone. Hi, Jake and Amanda. Untethered Live chat. Have a great read. I'm busy and won't be chatting. Well, handle your business. I'm sorry about that. But you get a gold star anyway because you're first in chat. So Amanda says, here's your gold star. And hamburger helper hand, Amy. Amanda says, hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. I hope everyone had a good day. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? Fantastic. I can't complain. I've had a good day. Long day. It's been a day. It's been one of those days where everything that could go wrong does go wrong. And somehow it's my fault. And I haven't figured that part out yet. But whatever. It's okay. I'm here. And I got coffee, and I'm amongst friends, and nothing could be better. How are you? Fine? Good? Damn it, Jerry. That's the wrong podcast. Sorry. Amanda says, Jake can't read it if you retract it. Here's a link to the chilling page if anyone wants to check it out. Angela Ashkins is here. She says, hello, all. Hello, Angela. Nice to see you. How are you this fine evening? Amanda says, Angela, hamburger over hand. Angela says, Amanda, heart. Judy's here. She says, hey, everyone. Riding in a car. Driving in my car. Turn on the stereo. Yeah, probably won't say much. Well, isn't that the time you should be saying much when you're driving in the car? That's the time to get in a good conversation and let the miles roll by. Angela says, Jake, hello. Hello, Angela. Nice to see you. Amanda says, Judy, hamburger over hand. And Angela says, Judy, heart. Judy says, hey, Jake and Amanda. Hi, Judy. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Angela says, I thought I saw Amy. If so, hello. You saw her. She was there. Randall Shackelford, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you. Hello to all. You got your name back, I see. Is YouTube doing the name thingy again? I don't know why they do that. Oh, he's messing with me. I see. Well, I know who you are anyway. Amanda says, what it is, hamburger helper hand. Debbie's here. Hi, Debbie. She says, hamburger helper hand. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Judy says, hey, Randall. Amanda says, Debbie, hamburger helper hand. Judy says, hey, Debbie. Amanda says, you're welcome. Smiley faces and hearts for the coffee. Or smiley faces and more smiley faces for the coffee. I'll take it either way. It's good coffee. Soothes the dying throat. I love it. Angela says, hey, Debbie and Randall. And Randall says, watch out for Uncle Jake. He's fabulous. Yes, he is. He is fabulous. Thumbs up. He's tired is what he is. Amber's here. She says, good evening, friends. Prayers and smiley faces with herpes. Hi, Angela. Nice. Hi, Amber. Nice to see you. Sorry. Too many A's. Amanda says, LOL, what it is, that he is fabulous. Amber says, there's a surprised heart getting freaked out by a hamburger helper hand. Amanda says, Amber, hamburger helper hand, or what it is, he's back. There he is. Wavy hand and smiley face. You just switch in between. You just got, what are you, a troll in other accounts? I've only got one account. I can't do a ton of them like that. How do you do that? How do you have the energy to keep up with the passwords? Angela says, Amber, heart. And Amanda says, LOL, there you are, what it is. There you are. Amber says, fabulous. What it is says, nope, I'm on 2 devices. Oh, I see. I got you. I'm the same guy on both devices. But I understand. Angela says, what it is, heart. And Amber says, LOL, Kevin Gates, 2 phones. Who's Kevin Gates? Is that a movie thing? Judy says, hey, Amber, and hey, what it is. Amanda says, LOL, I have 2 accounts, too. I ain't got the energy for all that. I can't even remember my name, let alone my accounts. If it wasn't for Keychain, I wouldn't be able to keep up with any of my accounts. Amber says, Randall, that's one of the monsters from Monsters, Inc., the purple one. Oh, nice. I remember that movie. It's a good movie. I don't remember much about it except that it's about adrenochrome in real life. You know, scare the babies, get the adrenaline, bottle it up and sell it. Don't believe me? Go back and watch the movie. Scary. Oh, trap music. Hardcore rap. 2 phones, Kevin Gates. I got it. I wouldn't know anything about hardcore rap. Except that it's hardcore, and I don't like it. I'm old school. I like Run DMC and things like that. The guy with the plastic nose, Humpty Dumpty. Old school. Like Vanilla Ice old. Horrible. Horrible. I have that song burned in my brain. Amber says, Jake, I love music, so I know lots of music. I love music, too. I just don't like that music. Walter Davis says, good evening, all. Good evening, Walter. Nice to see you, my friend. How are you? Amanda says, Walter, hamburger helper hand. How you doing, Walter? You staying busy out there? Staying safe? Judy says, hey, Walter. It's about that time. It's going to be a good show. I can feel it in my bones. Great read coming around the corner. Angela says, hello, Walter. It's awful slow tonight. I can tell. So anyway, Amber says, like lots of music. I like lots of music. One house was gospel and country and the other was the same along with anything playing on the jukebox. The old jukebox. Yep, I came around when you could put a dime in the jukebox, baby. Then it went to a quarter. Then it went to 50 cents, then to $1, then to $5. And I don't even think they have jukeboxes anymore. So I've survived the jukebox era. That was a long time ago. $2 in the jukebox. Remember that song? Or put another dime in the jukebox, baby. So you could see the progression of jukeboxes in music. Amber says Waffle House was the last of the jukebox I'm aware of, right? They used to have them in bars up until, I don't know, 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. They still had one on the wall, but it had CDs in it. And then it went all digital and then just disappeared. So it was only digital for a few months that I can remember, maybe a year. And then it was gone. I don't remember seeing them anymore after that. Certainly nobody standing around playing music on it, you know. Everybody just has a phone now with earbuds. Not necessarily a better addition to the world. I kind of miss old things. I miss renting movies. I miss jukeboxes and payphones, beepers. They had a purpose. Walter says, hi, Jake, Amanda, Amy, Judy, what it is, Randall and Angel. Randall and what it is are just one and the same. Angela says, I remember when small jukeboxes were on the tables in restaurants. I remember that too. You could just flip through it while you were sitting in a booth. I remember that. You put your ashtray right up on top of it and everything. Yep, for a while, Waffle Houses were like that. They had the jukebox right there at the table. Kevin Bernard, what's up, brother? Nice to see you. He says, hello, Jake and Amanda and everyone. There, almost everybody's here. Amanda says, Kevin, Hamburger Brand, how's your day going, Mr. Kevin? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Judy says, hey, Kevin. And Kevin says, I'm late, but not too late. It's never too late. It's never too late. It's always the right time. Believe that. Amber says, diamonds and black hearts. Here's to your cold black heart. All right. So before we get started, I need to do a little housekeeping. Angela says, yep, smoked in restaurants back then, too. Restaurants had cigarette vending machines, too. I'm old. I remember those. You could put $4 in it and get a pack of Marlboro Reds. And I remember that. And that was crazy expensive for a pack of cigarettes. Amber says, Jake Nugget got to go home today. Let's please remember him in our prayers tonight. Always. Walter Davis says, used to go to a bar called the River Styx. And they had an old jukebox, the old 50s style with a record player. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could see it flip the record over and turnstile come down on it. Yeah, I remember those. Nothing newer than 1975 country in it. That's the good stuff. That's where you could play Loretta Lynn and Patsy Cline and Hank Jr. and Hank Sr. All right. So it has come to my attention that there is drama afoot in the clan. I don't know what it's about. I don't know where it started. And I'm not going to mention the players. But I'm going to say this. I have worked incredibly hard for the last 14 years to build a community that we could be proud of and be part of and grow and call a family. And on this show, I teach wisdom most of all. And I also teach patience, prudence, forgiveness, kindness, and love. And you have to listen at some point. Whatever your issues are, number one, I'm not involved. Neither is this show. I didn't do it. I didn't cause it. I don't want my name attached to it. If it happened at another show, it needs to stay at that other show. It does not need to come into this one for any reason whatsoever. If you think anything of me at all, if you value our friendship at all, leave it outside. Number two, we're all friends here. If there's a disagreement, let's get together and work it out. If you need a mediator, I'll offer my services. If you don't, if you just want to ignore it, then do that. It does not have to be a be-all, end-all situation because somebody has a disagreement or somebody says something that somebody doesn't like or whatever the situation is. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know what it is unless you ask me to mediate. But what I do know is that I love all of you, and I would like to keep all of you right here. And if you care about what we're doing here, if you see the value in what's being created here for everyone, help me keep it together and not tear it apart. So if you have issues, come together, work on it in-house. Whatever the issue is can be resolved. Love one another. Forgive one another. Take the higher road. Trust in God. Trust in family. That's more important than anything else in this world. And it's offered right here for everyone. No questions asked, no judgments. I've been nothing but a friend to you all. I've been nothing but available, and I've offered you everything that I am. I've been completely honest with you. All I ask is the same in return. Show some love. That's it. Work on the problem. Don't let it ruin what we built here, because this is bigger than us all. It's more important than us all. That's it. That's all. And now we can go on with the read. So, if you got your Bibles handy, crack them open to the great book of Genesis, chapter 47, verse 26, and let's go down. And it reads, "And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt unto this day, that Pharaoh should have a fifth part, except the land of the priests only, which became not Pharaoh's." Well, it always wasn't Pharaoh's. God appointed the priests their own place. They couldn't own it, but they could live there. And they could also go amongst all the other cities and live there for free because they're priests. They do God's work. And in order for them to do God's work, they need to be kept up. So that's the deal. They don't get to have anything, but God gets to take care of them. So they get their own kind of inheritance. They just don't get to own property. It's kind of like the government. They can be there, they just can't own it. And Israel, Jacob, dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. They were a big family, a big business. They were like the Hatfields and McCoys. They just expanded out and was related to everybody. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Jacob was 147 years. He lived 147 years. And the time drew near that Jacob must die, or Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, lift me up, is what he's saying, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt, but I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. So that's a thing his father wanted. He didn't want to live in Egypt. He went there because it was expedient, and he could be closer to his son who was ruling the place. But he has his own land in Canaan, and his father was buried in Canaan. So he wanted to be in that burial ground, which is understandable. And his son Joseph complied and took him to be buried. And he said, Swear unto me. And he swore unto him. And Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, Behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, Behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat up on the bed. He's dying, but he had the strength to sit up and greet his son. Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me. And he said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people. And I will give this land unto thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. Those 2 words are highly, highly important. They are highly, highly contested, and they are highly, highly important. And they are both true. God gave the descendants of Abraham that land forever. That means now. They're fighting over it right now, but they shouldn't be, because it belongs to the descendants of Abraham. And now thy 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine, as Reuben, Simeon. They shall be mine, and thy issue, which thou begattest after them, shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. So he's taking the family under his wing. And as for me, when I came from Padan, or Padanaram, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, and yet there was but a little way to come unto Ephrath, and I buried her there in the way of Ephrath. Ephrath, the same as Bethlehem, by the way. Just in case you don't know where Ephrath is, it's Bethlehem. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons, and said, Who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, These are my sons, whom God hath given me in this place. And he said, Bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them, which is customary. Remember, Jacob was blessed by his father. Now the eyes of Israel were dim of age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them, and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, God hath showed me also thy seed. I'd never thought I'd ever see you again. I thought you were dead. But not only have I seen you again, but I've seen your children, which is a blessing to me, because I thought my kid was gone. See, it's never too late. Even if you think all hope is lost, there's something just around the corner that might change everything. Always is. That's how life works. Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand towards Israel's right hand. He crisscrossed them and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly. He knew what he was doing, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my father Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my father Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. And he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head, unto Manasseh's head. Why? Because Manasseh's the firstborn, and this boy Joseph does not know a thing or two. This is a old thing, right? Remember how Jacob got his blessing, which was supposed to go to Esau, who was the firstborn. But instead, they switched it. So what Jacob is doing is switching it back. Kind of a DNA flip-flop. I don't know if you can see that or not, how the pattern goes. The blessings went to the wrong people, and now it's going to flip-flop and go back to the right people. But Joseph doesn't necessarily understand all this because he wasn't there. So when he saw his father put his right hand on the younger and not the eldest, it bothered him a little. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Bless the oldest son. He's the guy that gets the inheritance. Not in this case. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations, as it does. And he blessed them that day, saying, In thee shall Israel bless, saying, God make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh, which is the opposite of the way it should be. But in a weird kind of way, setting right what was wrong so many years ago. If you can see that. And Israel said unto Joseph, Behold, I die, but God shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. I've given you a little bit more of an inheritance than I gave them because they did you dirty. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. This is a thing that used to be done all the time. The father would memorize, as he was a child and growing up, he would memorize the whole of the story of God's creation and how it was going to end. And then he would impart that to his children. If you go back in Leviticus and all of that, they'll talk about that. We're actually in Genesis, so we're before it. But when we get to it, they'll talk about that, how by word of mouth, God's plan was passed down from family to family. And they would learn that way. And then eventually they would learn the law that way too. The 10 Commandments and all of the rules and precepts and edicts of God, his commandments and his judgments. So he's going to tell his sons the story, the word of mouth tradition of how this is all supposed to work out, which we now do in the form of church. You have a pastor read the Bible to you and tell you the story as it goes. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Come sit down and let me tell you a story. Pull up a stool and lend me your ear. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch. I don't know what that means. Apparently, Reuben is a stinker and did some stuff that he wasn't supposed to do. There's no story that matches that line, so I don't know exactly what that means. He defiled his bed and his couch. Maybe took women there or something. I don't know. It doesn't say. Anyway, that's one of those lost in translation lines. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. Well, they are that. Those are the two that kind of wanted to sell their brother. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly, mine honor. Be not thou united, for in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they digged down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise, the king line. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies, and thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. Lion is a symbol of power and strength. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he crouched as a lion, and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? Nobody. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. The scepter is symbolic of leadership or kingship, the scepter and the crown. So the scepter will never depart from Judah. All kings descend from the line of Judah. Nor a lawgiver from between his feet unto Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be, as it were. Binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass colt unto the choice vine, which would be Jesus Christ, by the way. Remember how he came in riding on 2 ass colts? That's the choice vine coming into their people. This is prophetic. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes, or people. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Issachar is a strong ass crouching down between 2 burdens. Well, you got to lift up them burdens sometimes. And he saw the rest was good, and the land it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. Issachar will. Dan shall judge his people. That's the judge line, Dan. As one of the tribes of Israel, Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path, that biteth the horse's heels, so that his rider shall fall backwards. I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a hind let loose, or a deer let loose, bouncy, jumpy, fast. He giveth goodly words, he's very well spoken. Joseph is a fruitful bough, he's profitable. Even a fruitful bough by a well. He's a ever-springing well of information. He's very smart, he's very articulate, and what he touches generally turns to gold. Whose branches run over the wall. The archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him, but his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. As it is, Joseph is the stone of Israel. Even by the God of thy fathers, who shall help thee, by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breasts and of the womb. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors, the people who made me. So even more than Abraham's blessings, my blessings are going to abound unto him even more than Abraham did to me. That's what he's saying there. Unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. Joseph was separated from his family for a very long time, but that crown will be on him, as it is right now, because he rules Egypt. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf, foam at the mouth, be very ravenous. This is an old word. We don't use it anymore, but it means rabid, like to have rabies, to be attacking, foaming at the mouth kind of thing. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it that their father spake unto them and blessed them. Every one according to his blessing he blessed them. They all have a place, they all have a role, they all have a thing that they're going to do. Amanda says that the phrase defile my couch and defile my bed is a poetic and indirect way of describing a serious moral transgression committed by Reuben. It refers to Reuben's act of sleeping with Bilhah, who was Jacob's concubine. Yeah, there was a passing line about that where he did sleep with Bilhah, and I just assumed that went away, but it didn't. This is Jacob admitting that he knows about it, so that makes sense. Thank you for clearing that up for me, because I didn't get that one. Yep, that's right. It was in an earlier book that we read, and I just glossed right over it. So thank you for making that connection. I totally didn't get that line. And he charged them, or he gave them commandment, and said unto them, I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite for a possession of a burying place. That's where my fathers are buried. That's where I want to be buried, with Abraham. Now, Abraham's bones are no longer there. They used to carry them around with them when they were slaves in Egypt, and they've been lost to time. So nobody actually knows where Abraham's bones are, but they used to be in that cave. There they buried Abraham and Sarah, his wife, and there they buried Isaac and Rebekah, his wife, and there I buried Leah, my wife, and now I want to be buried there. The purchase of the field and of that cave that is therein was from the children of Heth. And when Jacob had made an end of commanding his sons, he gathered up his feet into the bed and yielded up the ghost, and was gathered unto his people. Amen. Sayonara, Jacob. We're going to miss you. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father, and the physicians embalmed Israel. And 40 days were fulfilled for him, which is customary. For so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptians mourned for him 70 days. That's 70 days. This number 70 appears a lot in this Old Testament writings because it's symbolic of completion, of the end of things, such as the 70 weeks of Daniel, the end of that and the beginning of a new thing, right? And when the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spake unto the house of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found grace in your eyes, speak, I pray you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Lo, I die in my grave, which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan. There shalt thou bury me. Now therefore let me go up, I pray thee, and bury my father. I will come again. And Pharaoh said, Go up and bury thy father, according as he made thee swear. Of course, Pharaoh trusts Joseph, and he's made him a buttload of money. He's not going to deny him that. Technically, Joseph is still a prisoner. He's been ruling Egypt for quite some time, but technically he's still in prison. Technically. He's still prisoner to Pharaoh. But Pharaoh loves him and trusts him. So yeah, go bury your dad. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph, and his brethren, and his father's house. Only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. The babies. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. I'm talking a funeral procession for the ages. This man was well respected. Believe that. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, the river Jordan. And there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father for 7 days. And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, "This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians." Wherefore the name of it was called 𝕊𝕚𝕬𝕕𝕪, which is beyond Jordan. If you ever want to know, go find 𝕊𝕚𝕬𝕕𝕪. That's on the path to where he's buried. And his sons did unto him according as he commanded them, for his sons carried him into the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham bought, the field for a possession of a burying place of Ephron the Hittite before Mamre. And Joseph returned into Egypt, he and his brethren, and all that went up with him to bury his father, after he had buried his father. And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, "Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly requite us all the evil which we did unto him." They still hadn't got over that yet. Now, Joseph ain't never been nothing but good to these fellas, and they've never been nothing but hateful to him. I think it's time for a little forgiveness. Doesn't matter what your problems are, your family, it'll work out. Family fixes family. They stick together. They don't break up over disagreements. Well, these guys tried to sell their brother. That's a little more than a disagreement. I can understand why they're nervous. But Joseph is a good man. He's not going to punish them. He's already punished them enough. In fact, nothing Joseph can do to them would be worse than what they've already done to themselves in feeling shame over what their behavior was like. Believe that. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, "Thy father did command before he died, saying, So shall ye say unto Joseph, Forgive, I pray thee now, the trespass of thy brethren, and their sin. For they did unto thee evil, and now we pray thee, forgive the trespass of the servants of the God of thy father." Jacob didn't say that, and Joseph knows Jacob didn't say that, but they're trying their luck anyway. Our dad also said to forgive us. He said a lot of stuff. I know you didn't hear it, but he said forgive us too. So you got to do that. And Joseph wept when they spake unto him, broke his heart. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face, and they said, Behold, we be thy servants. Well, of course you are. That's what the dream was about when we were kids. That's what has come to pass. But I love you. I'm not going to kill you. And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for I am in the place of God. But as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. See, even when you do wrong, even when you're doing something that is purely evil, God might decide to turn that into a positive. You might be doing something evil, but the effect of that evil might actually work out to save thousands of lives and be good for somebody else. God had a plan, and these boys fell into that plan. He took their evil deeds and turned Joseph into a great man that saved thousands and thousands of lives and built Egypt into the great country it is, or was. was God meant to do good, to bring to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now, therefore, fear ye not. I will nourish you and your little ones. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to hate you. I love you. You're my family. What's done is done. It's in the past. It doesn't matter. What happens from now forward matters. And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them. And Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house, and Joseph lived 110 years, considerably less time than his dad did. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation, and the children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were brought up upon Joseph's knee. So could you imagine knowing your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather? That's weird, but that's how it used to be. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I die, and God will surely visit you, and bring you out of this land unto the land which he swore to Abraham, and to Isaac, and to Jacob. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from hence. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. Now, this is a little bit of a mistranslation. I don't know if that word translates to coffin or not, but Joseph was actually buried in a tiny pyramid, which is a tomb. I guess there's a coffin in there, sarcophagus. So that's what they would call it, a sarcophagus. So if you go to the land of Egypt right now, you will find at some place a tiny pyramid that is striped. It's got many colors on it. It's a blue and white kind of thing. It is the symbol of Israel, right? The symbol of the Hebrews, that multicolored stripy thing. Like if you ever seen the movie The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, the getup that he wore in that movie was striped. It's like that. And then inside of that pyramid is depictions of a man wearing a coat of many colors. It's all there. And 12 brothers or 12 people with him. And he's a giant in that picture, so he's the king, right? And in that picture, he's called Imhotep, the first engineer, the first doctor, the first carpenter, the first everything. He has 100 titles to his name. And so basically, he revolutionized Egypt. He transformed Egypt into a money-making machine. And so he was venerated as the pharaoh. Now, this guy who's in this tiny pyramid is not a pharaoh, but he was buried like one. Very rich, very powerful people get those kinds of tombs. Most people just get chunked in a cave and covered over, right? So to build a tomb for him means he was very important. And I believe that Imhotep and Joseph are one and the same. That is my opinion, but you can look at the details and you can see for yourself. It is Joseph. Now, they probably collected his bones afterwards, took him out of that, and took him to Canaan and had him buried somewhere there, probably in that cave. But for a while, he was buried in Egypt. And it says it right here in the Bible that they put him in his coffin in Egypt. And that's the end of the book of Genesis, ladies and gentlemen. We begin the book of Exodus, second book of Moses. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. Those are the 12 sons of Jacob. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. There's that number again, 70. For Joseph was in Egypt already. Yes, that would be 71. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them. They were everywhere. These guys were like cockroaches. The Egyptians don't care for that too much, by the way. And at some point, good old Pharaoh's going to die. And the guy that takes his place, he don't know Joseph, and he don't care. He doesn't owe him anything, or his family. And so he's going to backpedal on the deal that family has in Egypt and eventually enslave them. And that's going to last for about 450 years. Very long time. So long, in fact, that they will have forgotten their very religion. They will have forgotten everything about, except for that there is a God and little whispers of things that they don't talk about in public. But for the main idea of their religion, it's all forgotten. In 450 years, they probably don't even know much about their history other than the patriarchs, Joseph and Abraham and Isaac. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. See, I told you. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. That's wise. I would say make friends with them and make them loyal to you. That would be wise, because they're going to outnumber you 10-1 very quickly. But this king, as is most kings, not very wise. So he wants to get rid of them before they turn against him and take over. Play all the sports ball and all that stuff. Therefore, they set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, slavery. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. You want to know where they built? The city of Ramesses, the city of Pithom. They're there. Go look at them. And then you can see what they were building. They were not building the pyramids. Some people like to make that equation that the Israelites actually built the pyramids because it's a building and they built stuff. No, they built cities. That's what they were building. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. Yeah, you can't beat out the hide what's in the blood, and them people like to breed. So they're going to breed and breed and breed until you're no more. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. They became quite a burden. They had their little shifty eyes and, rubby hands. They were those people. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. They were very hard on them. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the fields. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. They did not take it lightly. Some of these guys worked themselves to death. They would beat them mercilessly and make them work until they died, and then keep working them probably. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Siphrah, and the name of the other Puah. Siphrah and Puah, which sounds like a really messed up Disney team, like of a warthog and a meerkat, but not quite. Siphrah and Puah, right? And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. What does that sound like? Sounds like China's one-child rule. And it also sounds like King Pharaoh kind of wanted him to make a harem out of them. right? Kill all the boys, save all the daughters, and we can have fun in a couple of years. But the midwives feared God, not Pharaoh, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men, children alive. Thank God. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, Why have you done this thing? To which they responded, Duh. No. And have saved the men, children alive. And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for we are lively and are delivered heir. The midwives come in unto them. Therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. Basically, they said, shove it, Pharaoh. We're not killing the kids for you. No. You want them dead, you kill them. And the Pharaoh, showing exactly what kind of person he is, just left it at that. He didn't make it an issue. It came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. Now he's telling everybody to do it. And there went a man of the house of Levi, the priest line, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. Kind of incesty. Probably a first cousin or something like that. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him for 3 months. Good. And when she could not longer hide him, she took him for an ark of bulrushes, and dabbed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river brink. And his sister stood afar off, to wit, what would be done to him. Do you know this story? Do you know what's happening here? Let me explain. This Levi woman and this Levi man, the priest line personified, 50% both ways. 50% father priest, 50% mother priest, 100% priest child. That child would be Moses. Moses means drawn from the water. In Egypt, they would say Tutmose, drawn from the water. Tutmose. Go look it up. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. Now remember this Pharaoh, who is most likely Ramesses II. He wants all of the males of the Hebrews to be killed. All of them. And all of the women to be left alive so that he can use them as handmaidens or servants or concubines or whatever he wants. But his daughter, she don't play that. She is a very nice Egyptian. She's very sweet and humble. And she has a handmaid who is a Hebrew woman. She's of the house of Levi. And she's been kind of scarce for a few months. This is all subtext. It's not written herein at this point. It will lend to it earlier or later, I mean. But the woman who bared that child was the handmaiden to the Pharaoh's daughter. Okay? So Moses' mother works for the Pharaoh's daughter. So she knew that she would be coming out to dip in the river at a certain time. And she has her baby in a little basket, a bulrush basket, and is going to put him in the water and push him down to the Pharaoh's daughter. Now, most movies depict this as her being terrified and not knowing what to do, and in haste puts her kid in a basket and sends him down the river to say goodbye forever. That is not what happened. She knew full well what was going to happen. She knows this woman. She knows what kind of woman she is, and she also knows her son will fare better in her care than in her own. Because if he stays in her care, somebody's going to kill that child. They won't do that to the Pharaoh's daughter, though. Right. I'll show you when we get to it. Pharaoh's daughter came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark amongst the flags, or the reeds, she sent her maid to fetch it. The baby's mother went to go fetch the baby that she just put in the water. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrew children." Then said his sister to the Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?" The Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And the maid went and called the child's mother. Come right back into his life. Pharaoh's daughter does not know that this Hebrew woman is the child's mother. She doesn't know that, and they keep that a secret. And the Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, "Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages." And the woman took the child and nursed it herself. That's her baby, nursing her own baby and getting paid by the Pharaoh's daughter. Pretty smart move. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, "Because I drew him out of the water," or 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪. Now you can go find 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪, and you can find the Pharaoh's daughter who raised him, and you can tell that they don't look alike in the sculptures of them. All of it's there. You just have to go look for it. You have to know which era to look in, and then you have to know which people to look for in the Egyptian names, and then the stories line up quite nicely. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. Now, Moses knew he was a Hebrew boy. Nobody kept that from him, but since the Pharaoh's daughter raised him, he was raised in the palace as a prince of Egypt. A lot of people don't know that because the Bible doesn't lean on that fact too much. But he is, in fact, one of the princes of Pharaoh. He's not in line for the throne. He can't ever become king. His brother, the other Pharaoh prince, will become the next Pharaoh, the one that he meets during the plagues. That's his brother, the one he grew up with. Why God hardened his heart. Anyway. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Well, the Egyptian was beating this Hebrew guy to death, and Moses saved the guy and beat the Egyptian to death and hid him in the dirt, covered him up with dirt. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, "Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow?" And he said, "Who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killed the Egyptian?" Oh, somebody saw him do it. And Moses feared and said, "Surely this thing is known." Well, apparently one of the Hebrew guys saw Moses kill the Egyptian. Or the guy he saved went and told people that he did it. One or the other. But Moses now thinks that everybody knows that he killed the Egyptian, and he's scared for his own life. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses, But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. Okay, so that is a brushed over version of the story, but basically Pharaoh was very angry that Moses had killed one of his men, and he sought to kill Moses because he's not one of theirs anyway, and he's basically been placating him all this time because of his daughter, but he wants to kill him now, and Moses flees into the land of Midian and comes to a well, and that's where we pick up again into the story. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water from that well and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock, as a gentleman would. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, "How is it that you are come so soon today?" And they said, "An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew the water enough for us and watered the flock." Now see, Moses is definitely a Hebrew, but he looks Egyptian because he was raised Egyptian, and there's evidence of it right there. They saw him as an Egyptian. Even though he's Hebrew, he looked the part. He's probably still dressed like a prince. But she tells her father, "This dude helped us. That's why we're so early. It didn't take us all day to go get the water because he helped us. And also, there was bandits out there. It's scary." And he said unto his daughters, "And where is this Egyptian? Where is he? And why is it that you left the man? Call him that he may eat bread." Why did you leave the guy that just saved you? Bring him into the house and feed him, for God's sake. Show a little bit of appreciation for his hard work. When a man bends over backwards and works very hard for your satisfaction, show him some respect. It's the least you can do. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom. For he said, "I have been a stranger in a strange land." Well, he grew up as an Egyptian, but he was a Hebrew. He was from Canaan, but he lived in Egypt. He indeed has been a stranger in a strange land, and now he is yet again a stranger in a strange land in Midian as an Egyptian Hebrew from Egyptian Canaan. He's a weird cat, let me tell you. He does not know how to dress. Anyway, and it came to pass in the process of time that the king of Egypt died, meaning his son took his place, Moses' brother, the guy he grew up with. Egypt doesn't have a king, by the way, so you can tell this is a Midianite writing this. He has a pharaoh. Pharaoh means of the mother or of the woman. I don't know if you knew that or not. Pether, pharaoh, means of the female. That's why all pharaohs are depicted by a woman standing behind her with her hand upon his shoulder, which is a power position. It is a matriarchal society. You just don't know that, but now you do. Well, the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of bondage. And they cried, and their cry came up to God by reason of the bondage. God heard them. He knows they're in bondage. They have been for 450 years, and he knows where his people are. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. Why? Because they worked. That's where we're going to stop for today. We'll pick up next Sunday, chapter 3, verse 1 of the book of Exodus, and find out what happens to old Moses. All right. I thought that was a fantastic read. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something. I hope it touched your heart. I hope it causes you to think a little bit about your place in life and what that means and why things happen the way they do and why people end up where they are and all of that good stuff. And most of all, I hope it causes you to reach out with both hands to Almighty God, your Father, and ask Him to be a part of your life. Ask Him to come in and fix whatever's wrong. Ask Him to strengthen whatever's weak. Ask Him to heal whatever's broken. Ask Him to fulfill whatever's missing. Ask Him to teach whatever's unknown. And He'll do those things if you ask. Now, I want you to think about that. And while you're thinking about that, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of us. And it really does help the channel with the algorithms. Helps get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me. Drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to do here and you'd like to help me do it, well, consider joining the channel. Get yourself a J tag. Help me reach out. Buy a t-shirt. Put a super chat in the chat box. But if you feel led to send your tithes, offerings, or love offerings to this humble ministry, you can do that by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband or Cash App $JakeJohnsonband. Every little bit helps. It is a win-win. It is a blessing for me, but it is a blessing for you too. Why? Because God notices when you stand up for His people. Now, I will do everything in my power to be worthy of that support. I will answer all of your questions and comments. I will stand by you 24/7 as I always have and always will, starting right now. Okay, what did you think? What did you learn? Did you hear things you've never heard before? Did you understand things you've never understood before? Did you see things you never saw before? Let me know. What's up? Walter Davis says, and a great read it will be. Well, now that was a prophetic statement because I thought it was a great read. Thank you. And Amanda explained that phrase, defile the couch and the bed. Thank you for that. Amanda says, you're welcome. Appreciate that. Angela says, Amanda Hart. John, what's up, buddy? He says, I want to apologize to everybody, especially to Jake and Amanda, for what I've done. I am sorry. What have you done, John? And how are you, sir? I hear things have been rough. We love you, and there's never been any reason for any apology. Just assume the position, and everything's fine. Amanda says, Nugget, I hope you are well. Welcome back. Angela Ashton says, hello, John. Amanda says, welcome to the book of Exodus. Yes, and it's an excellent book, by the way. Lots of intriguing things in the book of Exodus. Lots of interesting tidbits that leaned into the future of the book, too. The Bible itself is a hyperlinked book. It is connected. Every fiber of the book is connected to another fiber of the book in every direction on every page from cover to cover, despite the fact that it was written over a 4,000-year period by no less than 66 authors who did not know each other and who did not understand that anyone would ever read their writing except the person they were writing to, and did not belong to the same religion or any other organization. They just wrote what they wrote, and it ended up in a book that is so perfectly connected that a human being could not have done that if they knew what they were doing in advance. They couldn't have done it. That's how you know the word is true. It is so much more complicated than cavemen writing on chicken skin with bones. Believe that. Judy says, hey, Nugget, so good to see you. And Judy says, so glad you're doing better. Walter Davis says, glad you're home safe, John. As am I. And we've been praying for you. Amanda says, great read, Jake, and thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. Kevin says, good read, Jake. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. My pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it. Amber says, Nuggy. Tackle hugs. I'm happy to see you here. I've missed you. As have I. Thank you. Amber says, wonderful reading tonight, Jake. Very, very powerful. Thank you. My pleasure, Amber. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Miss Hammer, for sharing him with us. Oh. Amanda says, you're welcome, Amber. Amber says, I've heard and studied these verses. I always enjoy hearing you break down the meaning and detail it so perfectly. Thank you very much. I'm glad to have your seal of approval. And Walter says, it was a great read. Thanks, Jake. Thank you, Walter. And God bless you, my friend. Sorry my voice is a little stressed tonight. I've been under a little pressure. Now, Walter says, what's actually happening over there, John? Inquiring minds what to know. What is happening over there, John? We've heard lots of different things. We're all curious. We're hoping you're doing better. But such is the world. Where's everybody at? Talk. Don't make me do all the talking. I can barely speak. Everybody's so quiet on a Monday night. That's all right, though. I understand. I see how it's my fault. I'll tell you what I'm going to do very shortly. I am going to check the back of my eyelids for holes. Been a long day. But a good day. What it is says, is this the John Nugget that was, or that is in England or the UK? Both. Amber says, I'm eating smoked pulled pork sandwich. It's yummy and messy. I love pulled pork sandwiches, especially with vinegar. It's a North Carolina thing, if you don't know. If you know, you know. Probably want a cracker, says Kevin. Cracker, hell to that. I want that pork sandwich. Oh, yeah, more snuggles, says Amanda. Definitely. He's sawing logs into the back of your neck. Drooling on your shoulder. Yeah, I love this portion of the Bible because it sets up the Hebrews and because of Moses and Aaron and where they came from. And since I've been reading it and pointing out that Judah is the king line and Dan is the judge line and Levi is the priest line, you're starting to see the purposes for all the different tribes. And now it's coming into play because Moses is going to take Aaron. Moses, by the way, who is a product of two Levites, which is why his brother Aaron, which is from the same union, becomes the head of the Levi's organization. It's not Levi. He's a Levite. Levi is much older than he is. But the priesthood is established in Aaron, who is a Levite. Also the same as his brother from two Levites. So that makes both of them pure-blooded, which is why God chose both of them. Also, Moses couldn't talk so well, but Aaron had the gift of gab. So he chose them both to do a job. And they gave each one of them something to do. He made Moses the judge and Aaron the priest, the high priest, and his two sons. And from him come all the other Levites, which is a point of confusion that I had for many years. So if you have that confusion, there, it cleared it up. Yeah, I'm glad we're out of the family tree part of Genesis, says Kevin. Me too. You think it's hard listening to? Try pronouncing all of those words. I didn't even know I could speak without consonants and vowels. Without vowels. Amanda says, LOL, Jake, just don't drool in my hair. It'll get sticky. Right on. John says, and I found out I got pneumonia as well. What is the first part there? Oh, I missed one. I'm sorry, John. John says, I fell down in my front room last Wednesday on the floor at 8 a.m. and couldn't get up again until 9 a.m. the next morning and rang the ambulance. And they came and found me, and I had a swollen hip and a spine. Man, that's terrible. I was worried you had a stroke or something. We've been keeping tabs on you. But I'm glad you're okay now. And I found out I got pneumonia as well. That's terrible, man. I'm sorry to hear that. What it is pulled pork. Yeah, I love it. Especially with vinegar. If you get some pulled pork, put vinegar on it, not barbecue sauce. You'll love it. Amber says, it's smoked all day. Oh my gosh. It's proof smoking is yummy, y'all. Y'all know what's next? Sleep. That's what's next for me. Walter says, I've heard Russia collapsed and crimes was taken back, and also that Russia is advancing. In what? What it is falling hurts, John. Unless it's love. Unless you're falling in love. Kevin says, Jake said, talk. What? Am I a parrot? Jake said, talk. What, am I a parrot? If it takes it. If it takes it. It got the conversation rolling, so yes. Thank you for that. There's Linda. Hi, Linda. She says, I forgot today was Monday. I haven't been doing too well lately. What's wrong, Linda? What can I do to help? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Amber says, what it is? Yes, pulled and smoked extra high. Amanda says, Linda, hamburger upper hand. Oh, no, I hope you're okay, hon. Dennis, what's up, buddy? He says, great read, Jake. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed. Walter says, pneumonia sucks. I had it a bunch of times. I'm not exactly sure if I've ever had pneumonia or not, but I definitely have pleurisy, fluid on the lungs. But I don't know if that's pneumonia or not. But I definitely have it. I'm coughing it up all the time. I lay on my back, I can hear it rattling. Sometimes when I'm asleep, I'll choke on it. Amber says, Linda, still just haven't recovered from all that bacon and bread. Well, if you're not doing well, please let us know if there's anything that can be done. We'll do it, if it's possible. Linda says, hi, Nugget. So glad you're here. Hearts and smiley faces. Who named them all? Pharmacists, says Kevin. Pharmacists. Who named them all? Pharmacists. Probably. Are you talking about pneumonias and sicknesses? Kevin says names are, who named all the people in Genesis? Pharmacists? Yeah, because they're so complicated. Yeah. Their names are harder than the names of prescriptions. I know, right? Yeah, some of them are easy, and some of them are just impossible to pronounce. You got to have one of those type mouths. You know what I'm talking about? There's some people, like, they can't speak English because their mouth is shaped different. They can't pronounce words. They got the tongue thing going on and the in the back of their throat going on, and they can't really speak the way that we do. You got to have one of those mouths to actually pronounce these names right. I can't do it, so I just do a poor English version of it. It gets the point across and it's memorable, so I'll leave it at that. But I'm not pronouncing half of them correctly. Amanda says, yuck, no vinegar, barbecue sauce. No, I'm telling you, if you get used to it, it'll grow on you and you'll love it. John says, hi, everybody, hearts. Walter Davis says, hi, Linda. Linda says, hi, Walter. John says, my leg was paralyzed. Why, because you laid on it so long? Nerve went numb? Or paralyzed because of something neurological? Amanda says, Dennis Hamburger brand. What it is says pleurisy is no fun either. It ain't fun. But I'm not sure if what I have is pneumonia or just pleurisy. It probably is just pleurisy, though. Amber says, who is Dennis Mind Stretcher? Dennis and Mind Stretcher are the same guy. And Dennis says, hey, Amanda. Amber says, Mind Stretcher, is your name Dennis? Yes. Linda says, Amber, Dennis is Mind Stretcher. And what it is, yep, it's kind of wild ahead of the physicians back in the day. What was their version of physician? Somebody that still did some kind of medical work? Or was it somebody that did just the embalming? Are you asking if they had doctors in those days? Yes. Yeah, they had medical work in those days that can be traced back very, very, very far. It was primitive by today's standards, but they did have physicians, and they did have magi, which worked with potions and things, which today we would call those pharmacists, people that mix medicines and herbs and stuff. They had apothecaries where you could get herbs and spices and balms and chemicals and ointments and such. And pagans were real good at taking roots and making medical stuff out of them, things like that. So the practices have kind of come together into a collegiate group of people, the physicians and the pharmacists and the whatever. But in those days, it was kind of spread out. The wives did a lot. The midwives did a lot. The town crazy guy did a lot. We had salesmen that would go by selling elixirs and such in the markets and things like that. But they did have medicine in those days. I think that's what you're asking. And the embalmers were priests, by the way. They weren't doctors. They were priests. And the embalming process was mummification. If you want to learn how mummification works, go on YouTube and look up how Egyptians made mummies, and you'll get a good sense of how they embalmed the dead in those days. They would remove the organs. They would poke a hole up in the nose and suck the brain out through the nostrils. They would cut the chest and remove the lungs, the heart, the liver, and the intestines and put them in canopic jars, or canopic jars, if you want to say it in English. And they would put them with the body, but they would then cover the body in a salt brine. And I forget what it's called, but there's a kind of a salty material, an ore there that's salty that they figured out how to mix, and they would paste the body with it, and it would suck all the moisture out of the body, and that took 40 days to do. And as they sucked the moisture out, they would wrap it in linens tightly to preserve the skin. So basically, it's like making jerky. They would basically freeze dry a human body. They would jerkify a human body. And that's how you make a mummy that lasts forever. And so you can look that up. And that's what they did to Jacob, because they were in Egypt. And that was an Egyptian practice. And I can't remember the name of that salt to save my life. Somebody help me out here. All I can think is vitrification, and that's what happens when something gets burned. That's not it. But it's a kind of salt paste. And I can't remember what it's called. It's right on the tip of my tongue, though. Mind Stretcher says, yes, my name is Dennis. Kevin says, the name's in the Bible. I got it. It took me a minute, but I figured it out. Amber says, smiley and heart. John says, I look like a pin cushion. Needles. That's terrible, man. I'm sorry that you went through that. Patty says, hey, everybody. Hey, Patty. Nice to see you, lady. The legend. Linda says, hi, Patty. Kevin says, apparently Hebrews never heard the name Pete or Bill or Bob. I know, right? They want to name their kid Arphaxad or something like that. Come on, man. What about George? It's much easier to say. Could you imagine going to kindergarten? What's your name, son? Arphaxad. What? Arphaxad. How do you spell it? I don't know. Nobody knows. Walter Davis says, name the kid drinking games, right? Amber says, Nuggie, you look like a man that beat whatever tried to take you out. I'm thankful you won. Amen. John says, I had to give my job up as well. Sorry to hear that, man. But you probably sound like you need to have somebody taking care of you. If you're in that kind of shape. If you fall and can't get up, you need somebody watching after you. Amber says, LOLOL, Walter, the wine game. Amy says, liked and shared. Thank you, Amy. Amber says, Kevin, smiley, smiley. Walter says, if you're near New Jersey, John, I'll get you working where I work. And Linda says, Walter, John is in the UK. Walter says, we are getting busy. Sounds good, Walter. It's good to be busy. Walter says, okay. John says, Walter, I'm in Britain. Kevin says, Jake, I got to hand it to you. You're good at taking comments about things that were talked about 5 minutes ago and connecting the dots. Thank you. It ain't always easy, and sometimes I miss. And sometimes I misunderstand a comment altogether. Sometimes I take it out of context. I'm not perfect, but I am trying. And as long as everybody understands that, it shouldn't be a problem. But it has been occasionally. I've actually had people get mad at me because I misinterpreted something. And I'm like, dude, can you imagine the conversation in my mind? There are 50 people talking to me at one time an hour ago. And I'm trying to keep it together and make sense of it all. Yeah. I'm going to misinterpret it occasionally. Just let that slide. I don't mean anything by it. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. It is a work in progress, and I'm getting better every day. Amber says, Nuggie, I'm eating a baby slice of cheesecake. Want a piece? What's it called there? Cheesecake. Amanda says, natron, thank you. The salty stuff is natron. That's the word I was looking for. They take natron and smear it all over the body. Yeah. Thank you. Dehydration? Yep, that's what they're doing. They're physically dehydrating it on purpose. Like you can do that by accident, but they're doing it on purpose. They're sucking all the moisture out, all the blood and all the moisture and all the juices, so that the body is completely dried out like a husk. And then they wrap it tight with linens to keep the cellulite and the stuff that holds your skin together. Not cellulite, that's the wrong word. The collagen, to keep the collagen tight. They wrap it in linens, and the linens also act as a moisture blocker. It wicks away any residual moisture. And so they do that, and they keep putting the natron and other spices so that you don't smell it, because it smells like death for 40 days. So they put myrrh and frankincense and quite a few other things on the body, and oils. It's a whole process. It takes 40 days to complete the process, and then you have a mummy. My favorite bit is when they stick the spike up the nose and pierce the brain membrane and suck the brain out through the nostril. That's fun. John says, Amber, it sounds nice. A piece of that cheesecake. The salty hygroscopic substance used in ancient Egyptian for embalming is natron. It is a naturally occurring mixture of sodium carbonate, sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, sodium chloride, and sodium. Basically salt, yes. Salt and baking soda. Sodium sulfate, primarily used to dry out the body, which is called desiccation. Desiccation. That's not dehydration, desiccation. Or to absorb moisture to prevent decay. Desiccation. Can you say that 3 times fast? Desiccate means to reduce by 10%, by the way, just so you know. Amber says, it's not a biscuit, but it's yummy. Right on. Kevin says, the brilliant Amanda. I was going to say mummification. That's what that is. Kevin says, for that time in history, they had very good doctors. Yes. They actually did brain surgery, and they found results of it where it was healing, so they didn't kill the guy immediately. So apparently they did it enough that they knew what they were doing. But they found skulls with holes in the skull where they had done surgery on the brain, and it had healed, right? And that's from digging up really old bodies. So they did know some stuff, and some of it, I'm afraid, is lost to time. Like, we don't know exactly how much they knew because there's no way to know what they knew. They didn't keep those kind of records. But some people knew because they were performing brain surgery and the patient didn't die. Debbie says, I didn't realize I mummified slugs. Who knew? Ha ha ha. Pouring salt on slugs. Did you use a magnifying glass too to watch them pop? Did you know when you step on a slug, it goes into a billion little tiny bubbles under your foot? You can feel it. It's like crystals popping. Did you know that? I've stepped on a few of them and they go. It's very creepy. It is an unrecognizable feeling. I suggest you do it barefooted at least once. Step on a slug. Setting broken bones accurately? Yep, they did that too, Kevin. Yeah, they did know how to perform surgeries and amputations and things like that. I'm sure they couldn't do like a heart transplant or anything like that. But they did have things that they were very good at in those days. And had people studying those things. That's what a lot of the dark arts is studying the inner parts of the human body and how it works and trying to understand the creation of God, which is where all sciences started, by the way. Every branch of science started at a Christian. Believe that. And it was about the 1800s where all the sciences were co-opted by atheists in the 1800s at Cambridge. But before that, it was all people trying to endeavor to understand the Word of God. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie, me too. John says, I've heard if you put salt under your tongue, it cures headaches. It can. It depends on the headache. There are 3 different things that can cause headaches. One of them, putting salt under your tongue, will help. Only one. The other 2 are different kinds of headaches. Kevin says, I've never stepped on a slug. I recommend that you do at least once because it's an indescribable feeling. Like a million crystals disintegrating under your foot. You can feel the individual puffs. It's strange. Mind Stretcher says, smiley face, peace, smiley face, heart. Right on. Debbie says, I have stepped on slugs. That's why I keep a lot of salt on hand. Little salt tunes for the slug mummies. Monster says, bear with me or bear with me? Could be. Amber says, hugs, y'all. Annoy y'all next podcast. I love you, Amber. Thank you for being here, honey. John says, I'm scared of slugs. There's nothing to be scared of. They don't even bite. They don't even hardly move. How can you be scared of a slug? Kevin says, yuck. It is kind of gross, but it's interesting too. Amber says, thank you, Jake and Miss Amber. My pleasure, Amber. God bless you. Have a good night. And I'm going to bed too. It's 10:13. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Everything's going to be better tomorrow, I promise. Just love each other and come together and discuss, work out your problems, work out your differences, be a family. Think about how much better life is knowing you got people to depend on. Do that. Be nice to somebody. It'll change your life. I promise it will. Kevin says, Debbie, I'm starting to worry about you. Starting to? John says, slug phobia. I hear you. Amanda says, good night all. See you Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Untethered Live for a chill stream. Much love. Y'all hearts all over the place. And Linda says, good night all. I will have to rewatch. And I hear you. Debbie says, you should, Kevin. Evidently, I'm evil. Evil like the fruits of the devil. She's evil. Nah, you're all right. Kevin says, good night, everyone. Good night, everybody. I love you, true. God bless each and every one of you. May his life abound in yours. May his love fill your hearts. May his joy expand your eternity. And may his grace light your footsteps every which way you go. And while you're out there going, be nice to somebody. It'll change your life. I promise you it will. If you've ever listened to me before, listen to me now. It will change your life. Have a great night. I'll see you next time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. Good night.